Alright guys, we are back. We already had a Nafas deck, we had an Arachnid deck, and we will now go for a Tagari deck. So let's head to the old mill and let's see if we're outside or inside. If we will greet Steve or yes, Steve is here. So we will right away move to the Tagari, and as we did with the other two decks we created, we will go for a deck only built with cards from the starter deck. So also with this race with the Tagari, I also had a decision to make, and the first big decision was, again, same with the Arachnids, which hero are we going to use? Are we going to use Azaki, who is a marksman with very high attack value and the ability shoot and dash after attacking in range combat, or should we go for Tapeza, a very high defense value with the ability covering range attacks on the two fields behind this card will be blocked. So she's a protector, and in my opinion, for a beginner, Azaki is probably the hardest hero to play, I would say, currently in the game. So it makes more sense to use Tapeza for this deck, and we will call this deck, we will give it a name. We will call this deck the Nine-Tailed Wonder. No, Nine-Tailed Control, because we will control the game with this deck. Tapeza is a nine-tailed Tagari, so that's how we name the deck. Control, because we will try to control the game. What does that mean? That means that we are not going to start out very aggressive. I mean, the Tagari do have, of course, the ability to play very aggressive. I think it is the race where you can play almost, you almost have the most options to play aggressive with the Tagari, because they have high attack and high movement. And we will play not that aggressive, because I think it is also hard for a beginner to play very aggressive, and it is also hard for a beginner to play very defensive. So maybe we will try something in between, a control deck. Yeah, I would say that we already add Tapeza to the deck, and we will build our strategy around this card, because with her high defense value and also with her range and movement, she's the biggest part of the control we want to have. Regarding Guardian, we have two options. We have Pano. We have Pano Anoki Jazabi, a 12/7/02, a range guardian with the ability Identifying Weakness. The defense value of all enemy pioneers is reduced by 1, so very strong ability. And we also have Tulok 10/11/0 and 1, and his ability is Great Preparation. He is increasing your starting time budget by 75 seconds. So two different guardians with two different abilities, and one has range and one has no range. So I'm a big fan of Tulok, because I like to have more seconds to make better decisions, because there is in almost every decision, and if you would have more time, you could have probably played something better. So I really like Tulok, but for this deck we will take Pano. Lowering the defense value of enemy pioneer cards is crucial, especially if we will see which pioneers we will use for our deck. So I will start right away with Mingan Anoki Chazori. His values are 6, 3, 2 and 1. He's also a part of the starter deck. We will use him for our deck. His ability is called Weapon Collector. It's a radar ability. When slaying an enemy unit, one of the battle values permanently increases by 1. His abilities are kept by 3. In his case, the attack value increases by 1. Like I said in the last video with the Arachnid deck, if you have a radar ability in your deck, you should probably use this card right from the start. If you have to destroy cards in order to get value, well, you need more time on the battlefield. It makes no sense to draw the card at the end of the game and that is almost no value. Then you could go for other cards. So we will take Mingan, and what makes it very interesting is that if we play Mingan and Panu, Panu is lowering the defense value of enemy Pioneer cards. Let's take a look at some enemy Pioneer cards. We have the Nafas, we have Brooks, we have Draska, we have Rakwa. They all have 6 defense. We have the Master. Okay, Master won't get reduced, sorry. We have Brooks, Draska and Rakwa with 6 defense. The Nordu have Gustav, they have Björn, they have, I think, one more Pioneer who has also 6 defense, and all those cards, although all their values will get reduced to 5. So Mingan is a threat to those cards. Otherwise, it will be just a standoff, and most of the cards have higher attack value than 3 defense. So, for example, Björn has 4/6, Draska has 4/6. They would basically destroy Mingan, and Mingan couldn't destroy them. But with Panu, he can destroy them as well. So he's a good card to take in your deck when playing Panu. Doesn't matter also for other decks, not only from this 9-tailed control deck. But that's a very good card for this deck. Let's move back to the Masters, because we have 3 Masters available in our starter deck. We have Kalik, 10, 5, 2 and 1, very strong card. Also a raid ability. In his case, he is increasing the defense value by 1 when he is slaying an enemy unit. Also a card we will likely play right from the start. Mingan, second master we have is Kele, very strong master, 8, 3, 3 and 2. Ability is Master of Styles. That means she does not suffer a 50% damage reduction when attacking in close combat. So she can attack in range combat with 8 and also in close combat with 8. Very good card for us. And the last master we can take is Miko. Miko has 9, 4, 2, 2, a Hermeticist, also no damage reduction in close combat, and his ability is a Fighting Spirit ability. When all masters of your deck have fallen, or each time when your maul drops on 20 or below or 10 or below, one of the battle values gets increased by X amount. In his case, his ability is called Adrenaline. The defense value gets increased by 1 when maul drops on 20 or below and on 10 or below. That's a card we don't have to play right from the start, because if we draw this card a little bit later, at the later stage of the game, this card has higher values already. So that's a card we will keep in our deck, and also maybe a card that we could equip because of the fact that we will keep it in the deck. Yeah, that's the Masters. Now let's move to the Pioneers. We already chose Mingan as a card, and as a second Pioneer we will use Ateno Sano Chazori. He has 5, 4, 2, 1, some basic or lower, let's say lower Pioneer stats, but he has Troop Slayer. He's attacking 2 times against troops. That's very good for us, because we will most likely play Nafas, Arachnids decks, or Nordo decks even, with some troop cards. For example, the Arachnids deck, starter deck contains this Landkrone Korsak with 5 defense, and they're pretty annoying because they have such a high defense value. So we can use Atieno. He can make 10 damage against troops with 1 attack, and that's a good option, especially when we could think about in the starting 5 selection, if we already think that our opponent is plays a warrior heavy deck. How could we see that? Well, the Arachnids have the Guardian Kessa and the Nordo have the Guardian Fabior, or the Nafas have the Guardian Arsok. They all increase the battle values, or one of the battle values of the warrior cards. Most likely, if your opponent plays those cards, they also could start probably with warrior cards. So that's a decision we can make before we start heading to a game. We will use Atieno. Also a good option to equip, because every attack value he gets will get doubled when attacking troops. The next card we will take is Hinto 4721. Very good card to control, because the high defense value and also solid attack value to movement. That's always a good card to have in the deck. Next one will be let's see. Yes, we have. I think we will take Maungatua, also 6711. High defense stats. We will use him, or we could use him probably to stay defensive in front of your Guardian. Because our Guardian only has 7 defense, he is very vulnerable, especially against aggressive decks, and we could use Maungatua to place or move him in front of our Guardian. The next card we will take is Menomi 5521. Solid stats, high defense value for Tagari, and we could equip this card as well with the Bloodstone Amulet, but we will take a look at that later. So we'll take Menomi. The next option we will use, the next Pioneer we will take is, we have Atieno, we have Hinto, we will take Karuk. Karuk 5522, also solid defense stats. Because we play a control deck, as you might notice, I took more Pioneer cards with higher defense values. As I think that for a beginner it is how can I say, it is probably easier, or not easier, but you feel more comfortable to play with cards that can sustain it and have a high defense value. So I took cards that have high defense value and also have solid attack value. In his case, 5522 is a pretty solid card, and we will use him for our deck as well. And the last card we will have in the Pioneer lab is Naira, another card 4622 marksman with high defense value, and her ability is called Bow Drop. When being slayed, one of the battle values of adjacent friendly units get permanently enhanced by 1. The attack value of marksman gets enhanced by 1 in her case. Who does benefit from that? It would be Kele. In that case, it would be Karuk. So one could say, well, yeah, that's not a lot, and that's not this ability most likely won't be used in the game. Could be. Still, I like her defense value, because I think in the starter deck, the Pioneer selection, I would strongly suggest to take cards with strong base stats, and those cards for our deck, we need cards with higher defense values. So let's take Naira, and then we have all the pioneers. We move to the warriors. Same as in the Arachnid deck I created, we will use Abe. Has the same stats as Asbos, 2/4, 2/1. Very good card, 2 times in the deck. He's also 2 times in the starter deck. The next card we will going to add is, that's a pretty good card, Litaha, 2, 2, 2 and 3, 3 range. Very good control card in the starter deck. She's 2 times in the starter deck, so we'll take her 2 times. The next cards we are going to add are Maska Novani. We will take Maska Novani 2 times, 3, 2, 2, 1. Also solid stats. Same as Maska, we will use Vaban 3 times, 4, 1, 2, 1. Those cards are very good cards when you start to trade, because if you draw them and you start to trade, you can place them, and they have, for warrior cards, they have good attack value and also good movement, so they can immediately join the battle as soon as we place them. In addition, we will also use 2 Vihos. Those cards are also very good cards. Most of the players use them for early game to make pressure, but I like to draw them because in the later stages of games, free movement cards are very important and they can win you the game in a later stage. So we will use those 2 cards for the late game or mid-late game, and then we will also add Zapata 2 times, and then we also a free movement card with 2 attack, solid, and then we will also add Wicket. Wicket has 2, 3, 2, 1. Not necessarily a card we will take for our starting 5, but it is a card we'd like to have in our deck. He is increasing time gain per turn by 5 seconds. Let's say our game has 4, 5, 6 turns. That's 20 to 30 seconds in addition to the time you already have. So that can be, in some games, can be very good. And then we have 1 warrior left. Let me take a look. He's missing. Oh, we will take Maska 3 times in the deck. I only took him 2 times, 3 times, because I thought he's 2 times in the starter deck, but he's 3 times in the starter deck. Stacked 9, 6, 2, 1. Very good card. In my opinion, also Hermeticist. It's a strong group. Something we could consider for starting 5 in some cases. And now we will go to the equipment cards. And then we have the following options. We have the Bloodstone Amulet. That's this one. +1 attack value for Hermeticists. Then we have the Cosmic Whetstone. +2 for Marksman. And then we have Dados Armor. +1 for melee cards. And we have the Wuro Skull Gloves, +1 attack for melee cards, and Dados Armor was +1 defense, of course. For our deck, we will take the Bloodstone Amulet, and who are we going to equip that with? We could take Miko. He's a Hermeticist. He will gain defense value because of his ability. We won't play him at the early stage, and we will play him at the later stage. So if the game is, if we have, let's say, 15 more points, he is 9, 5, 2, 2. If we have below 10 or below more points, he will have 9, 6, 2, and 2. And we can add 1 attack value to his 9 attack, and so he could have 10, 5 or 10, 6, for example. If we don't want to equip Miko, we could think about equipping Menomi to give her 6 instead of 5. well, then that's about it. But I would recommend to equip Miko. The next equipment we are going to take is Cosmic Whetstone +2 attack value for Marksman. In that case, we have two options. We will have, because we will take Kele, most likely we will take Kele for our starting 5 selection. So we could take the Cosmic Whetstone either for Karuk or for Naira. Naira has 4-6-2-2, so she would have 6-6 solid stats, but I would like to give it to Karuk, because if we give him 2 attack, he has 7-5-2-2. That means, because when he is attacking in close combat, his attack value gets reduced by 50%, and the value gets rounded up. And if we add those two, he will have 7, and if you take the 50% damage reduction, you will have 3.5, and it will get rounded up to 4. And 4 attack value in close combat for a Marksman of the Pioneer level is a good option, and options are always good. So we will equip Karuk, and the last equipment we are going to take is a equipment for a melee card, and here we do have I would say we will use the Burro Skull Gloves +1 attack value for melee cards, and we will equip Atieno just because it gives a lot more value when attacking troop cards. So he will not attack with 10 attack value against troop cards because it gets doubled. He will attack with 12, and that's how we use our equipment cards. Regarding starting 5 composition, I would suggest that we use our 2 Raider cards. That's Kalik with his Raider ability and Mingan with his Raider ability. 2 melee cards, good against the Nordwell. And we will also use Kele with her 8-3-3-2. Gives us control early because she is a threat right away. Either if we start, we can pressure our opponent, or if our opponent starts, we can place her in the backline, and our opponent has to be careful even to move in the first row of the neutral zone. And then the other 2 cards we are probably using are the Litaha cards, the 2 cards with 3 range. We will place those cards behind our hero Tapesa. 4 damage on 3 range is, in my opinion, control. That's why the deck is called Nine-Tailed Control, and let's see how we perform with it. Let's head back to the menu, and then I will make a short break again, and we'll be right back. Alright, we found someone. Took us 2 to 3 minutes. Who are we facing? We are facing Rezu, Zarduzo and Kessa. That has to be someone who plays regularly, because Kessa is not in the starter deck. As we said, we will start again. We will take Kalik. Kele, Miko will be equipped. We will use him at a later stage. We will use Mingan with his Raider ability, and 2 times Litaha. Then we are ready, and we will see how our opponent is placing his starting 5 and what he chose for starting 5. Also, because we will start, we have, with those cards, we will have the ability to take control over the neutral zone, or at least take control of one side of the neutral zone. Best would be to take control right at the center, in my opinion. And how are we going to do that? We will use Kele, her movement value will give us that control, and we will also use Mingan and Kalik. I will probably lean more towards the right side, so those cards can play together. Okay, yeah, we chose the right, and our opponent chose the right side as well. We are playing against Joker. He has Fruzia, Kalon, Xiko, Zeka, and Ziata. Yeah, with seed. So we immediately could take Fruzia away. Would be possible, but we are not doing that. We will place our Litaha right there. Our opponent could destroy our marksman, but that would lead in us destroying his hero, and that's not something he wants probably. We will place Kalik right there, Mingan right there. In case he is pushing his right side and our left side, we have control with those two cards, and also Mingan, he can make pressure on the cards my opponent has to place in one of those fields, maybe in the back, but still, if he places cards in these fields in the front row, Mingan can get his radar ability. Yeah. Okay, only place 2 cards. Now my opponent is selecting Retsu. I don't know if he's actually going for my marksman. Normally, it can be dangerous to move out into neutral zone like that, because player 2 can always place 3 cards first. So in every trade, he can use the first 3 cards he draw first. So he has a card advantage right from the start. Only if we manage to destroy 2 or 3 cards in the first turn, for which we would need at least 2 to 3 high movement cards with high attack value. Otherwise, it is not possible, and in that case, normally as player 1, if you're not going full aggressive, you have to be careful when moving into the neutral zone, because it is very easy to overstep. Our opponent made a mistake. He misplaced Retsu. We will place the Waban. We will equip Karuk, and we can use him. We have to use him on the right side. Why? Because Xiko is an assassinator, and he will just assassinate Karuk and ignore his defense stats. Now we can destroy Retsu Zartuso. What do we need to sacrifice for that? We need to sacrifice Kele, and we can get Mingan. We can finish Retsu with Mingan. The thing is, what do we have to pay for that? That's a good question. 11. All right. We're just going to try that now. We will play it like this. In order to keep our hero safe, we also have to destroy this card right there, because 8, 3 and 5 are 11 and 16, and those cards could destroy my hero. So I have to use Litaha and Kele for Retsu and Mingan for Jirid Rakuk. That means that Mingan is most likely going to die. No, I can't do it like that. I can't do it like that because there's only one field to attack from. That was misplayed by me, actually. that was misplayed by me. But we have to commit now. We have to commit now, in my opinion. And we will do it like that. So as you can see, we took control early. Our opponent is just reacting. It was more of a aggressive control, and it can be, this deck can be used for a aggro control. So there is an option, I think, to destroy my hero, but that will also cost him 2 masters probably. And because we started with the trade and we did it in a good way, we are now ahead. I think it is hard for him to get it back. A good option for him could be now to destroy some cards, but also to push the right side to make pressure on my Guardian, especially with Kalon and maybe Xiko. All right. I think that's probably a smart way to play it. He could have gone full aggressive, but that would have been rough for him. And as I said, he's doing the right thing by pushing the right side. I think he just misplaced Ziata a little bit. But that's the right play. That's the right play. So now we are still in control. Why are we in control? We destroyed our opponent's hero. He only has 15 more points and he's trying to move to our Guardian and destroy our Guardian. In my opinion, we could let him do that and go for his Guardian. His Guardian has 15 defense, that's pretty high, but if we do it the right way, we can destroy his Guardian, and we will just place 1 or 2 cards in front of our Guardian, so he will have to destroy those first. Takes him a little bit longer. Then we will start to destroy the cards which are in front of us. We will use Khalik for Srasnis to increase his defense value with his raid ability. We will move Leita right there. We will move Karuk right there, and we will move 1 Awaban right there and 1 right there. So now I could have gone a little bit more aggressive even, but I want to do it because the deck is called Nine-Tailed Control, and if you control the game, you do it in a controlled manner and not going too aggressive without thinking about it. So we are doing it a little bit more slowly and patient, with more patience. Our opponent is now in a position where he is forced to either commit to the play or to try to save his guardian. One card that can be dangerous for us is Exodus. He got equipped. He has 7/1/3/1 free movement, and his ability is called Grievous Wounds. If he's attacking Tapeza with his card, Tapeza only has 7 defense left for the rest of the game, and that can be dangerous. Okay, our opponent is committing. What is he doing now? Still in a place where that's a little bit misplayed, because now Kalon is... I can destroy Kalon. Now I will equip Minomi because the game is at a stage where I think I better use it now. I will use Waban for Kalon. I will use 2 Waban for Kalon. Then we will destroy Chirid, Araku. We will use Khalik to destroy Lanhur to get even more defense. Move Karuk right there. Move Tapeza right there. I mean, he can go for Tapeza now, but still, it will be... He needs 2 cards, and one of those 2 cards has to be Fruzia. So, Ganon only has 6 more points left. That's basically the end of the game. Of course, he can destroy my hero now. I like to do it. My playstyle is always to give my hero away if I can get the win for it. So the more points might look a little bit closer, but the game was decided before that turn. Of course, he can now destroy my hero, and we will have 9 more points left. But then still, it will be hard for him. He can now destroy warrior card, 3 warrior cards, and that's about it. Or 1 pioneer with Xiko. So we lost a lot of more points, but we did it on purpose to get the rest of his more points. He is even leading the game now. He knows that the game is over. So just place the card. We can destroy Xiko. 4 more points left. We can destroy Deletia. 2 more points left, and we will destroy Fruzia, and we will win the game. That was a good game. I think we got control early. Our opponent has had a rough time to get back into the game, and yeah, that's one way to play this 9-tailed control deck. Also, like last time, if you like this deck and want to see more games with this deck, let me know. And for the next video, we will have the last race with a deck only built with cards of the starter deck, and that's the Nordua. There are already a lot of players playing the Nordua, so I will do something differently than those guys. And yeah, if you like the content, consider subscribing and liking the video. It will help us to spread the game. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day, and see you on the battlefield.